Hello, welcome everyone. We will be presenting tonight a roadmap to building an audience for Molly Murphy. And I will be presenting along with my teammates Jahir, Alberto, and Lance, and I am myself, Mathieu. Who is Murphy? Who is Molly Murphy? So she's an indie folk singer-songwriter. Who is whoever is sharing the screen? Yeah, thank you. She's based in New York City, originally from Virginia. She has two EPs already released, and her main influences are contemporary artists such as Adrian Lenker, Phoebe Bridgers, Waxahachie, and more generally Americana and older 60s, 70s folk. And also she's performing regularly in New York, mostly around New York City, around where she has around one show a month for now. Next slide, please. We will be focusing on identifying promotional strategies for her new EP, which is out in May. And the goal is to increase overall streams and awareness, focusing on driving new followers and higher engagement on our socials. And also on a longer term, we would like also to ideate longer term paths to sync opportunities, because she also has, on a side note, kind of side career doing some compositions for film. About her current situation, so she has around 740 monthly listeners on Spotify, 1,700 followers on Instagram, where she's the most active, and her most streamed song is Seabird, which is a cover by originally from Alice Brothers, and she has been featured on a indie bluegrass editorial playlist with that song. And as I mentioned, she has a new EP coming out in May with 3 singles leading up to that EP. So her audience demographic is mainly 25 to 44-year-olds, predominantly female. We can actually see a difference between her audience on her social media, where it's mainly female, but on Spotify, where most of her listeners are actually passive listeners that come from the editorial and algorithmic playlist. They are more evenly split. And in terms of geography, most of her fans are in New York City and Washington and Virginia. And we have also some other cities for Spotify, but as I said, they are more passive listeners. So yeah, Jahir, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, so we've jumped into Chartmetric and Spotify mainly just to look at the available data that we had. So just a few things we noticed that she had strong momentum and like follower growth on Spotify. Engagement was highest in like previously on the like this previous slide said, cities such as New York, Seattle, Virginia. And then we kind of identify like opportunities to grow, especially on YouTube and TikTok, as though the follower accounts on those platforms were lower, and those are kind of key platforms to be on in this current artist economy. One thing we did notice from Chartmetric was this playlist reach chart. So she's only been on one editorial playlist count, but obviously the reach there was is great, 261,000 interactions. And then we also thought it was interesting about the user generated playlist count. So even though the number is still like in its early stages, it still just shows that people are interacting and adding her music organically to their own library. So that's something that we can continue to build off prior to the EP release. And then so we kind of just split up our strategy into 2 buckets. There's a slight overlap. But we have like the mainly digital marketing strategy, and then we have the content and posting strategy. So as far as digital marketing strategy goes, we're gonna tease the audience with snippets. We're going to, do paid ads on YouTube Shorts and in feed and discovery ads in front of artists whose music is similar. That way, they can reach Instagram targeted campaigns with retargeting.
I'm gonna have to stop you there. Time's up.
Oh,
It goes fast, guys.
yeah, it does, yeah.
All right, my judges. We have some time for questions. Eric, go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks for the presentation. I have just one question about the demographics piece. So the all-time listenership figures show her audience skewing female, but actually to the left of that you had the last 28 days, and that showed that it was much more of an even split, actually skewing slightly more male. Were you able to cross-reference any data points from other sources to kind of identify what the shift was from being skewed more female to male, and how are you able to then kind of incorporate that into a content strategy to make sure that you're actually targeting the right audience that will give you the most impact?
Yeah, actually, that's why I mentioned on the left it was her the demographic of on Spotify. On the right, it was the demographics on Instagram, and there's actually a huge difference between both, because on Instagram it's really her followers, and for now many people that are already in her circle, and so it's more female, and actually, yeah, on Spotify it was 89% of programmed listeners, so passive listeners that have discovered her through the editorial playlist mainly. So we are not sure that they really follow her. So they listen to her because they were listening to the bluegrass playlist. But is it really her long-term core audience? I'm not really sure. It really seems that for now her core audience is slightly more female than male.
Great, thank you. Ethan, you want another question?
Yes, so great presentation, guys. I had looked at your demography when you were talking about like your audience, and I noticed that the highest range was 18 to 25, and then the rest of them were quite like, it was like maybe 5-7%. What plans do you have to carry the other, a demography of the audience, like the 45 to 60, even younger than 18, so that your revenue is evenly distributed and not just heavily concentrated on 18 to 25?
For now, actually, it's more 25 to 44.
Or 25
yeah. And actually, I guess the revenue for now is more for shows. Well, and the shows, it will be most of them, well, or some of them are more in bars, so 21 plus. So I'm not sure we should concentrate on the lower demographics, but
well, I can jump in and say that
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, just trying to target the younger audience, you would reach them on the platforms where they are. So obviously, like, being more involved on TikTok, because that's huge. Gen Z like primarily uses that as their social media. So like having a more concentrated effort to have a presence on there would help increase just the audience size in that demographic.
All right.
Actually, her demographic is slightly older on TikTok.
That is time, guys. Thank you. Amazing. Thank you both. Thank you all for your presentations.